So, you want to buy a Kawasaki Z125 or a Honda Grom. Well, here's some pros and oh my goodness. Boop. So, here's some pros and cons. I'm going to cut that out of the video. So, let's go over the pros and cons of owning a Z125 or a Honda Grom. They're both basically the same bike. You know, there's subtle differences between them. So, this should apply to both relatively. Right, so the first pro, right, 125 miles per gallon. You're not going to get that on a lot of bikes, 60, 75, 85 on most bikes, but this one gets a supposed 125 miles per gallon. At a 2 to 2.5 gallon tank, I can't remember off the top of my head, I've still never put more than $6 in this thing, and it takes 87. I read the owner's manual. So, despite gas being nearly $5, actually gas is more than $5 a gallon for 87 in Colorado. So, I've still never put $6 in it to fill it up. More than that. I've never put more than $6 in it to fill it up, which is great. It gets me like 250 miles. Another great thing about this bike, you can take it on most roads. No interstates. Absolutely no interstates. Unless you're in states where the speed limit's like, 55 miles an hour, which my home state, it is 55 miles an hour. Still wouldn't recommend that. Still wouldn't. That'd probably be a pretty bad idea, I'm not going to lie to you. But here in Colorado, I can take this thing on US 24 and have no problems whatsoever keeping up with traffic, and even passing some traffic, not going to lie. Another great thing about this bike is it's dirt cheap, and the parts for it are dirt cheap. I spent, after dealer fees, $4,200 on this bike. Not bad, originally about $38 for the bike, and then the wheels are dirt cheap. Every part on this thing is really affordable to replace, and it's a very reliable bike. You can hoon this thing all around and it'll never break down. These tires, they're small, yet they really grasp the road going in corners and bends, firmly grasp it. So another great thing about this bike is it looks really good, despite it being about 3/4 the size of a normal bike. Maybe 2/3 actually might be a better way to put it. The size of a regular bike. With me being a shorter rider, it's great for me. I do have a need for speed though, and wish you could go faster, but there are plenty of aftermarket parts and mods for this thing to make it faster, to make it longer, to make it bigger. And it's just if you're willing to wait a few weeks to get the parts, you're in good shape then. Also, did I mention this thing is a wheelie machine? So that's plenty of pros right there. Let's get into the cons, right? One of the cons is it is a small bike, and it looks comically small. Especially if you're a taller rider, you might look a little ridiculous on this thing. Another thing is you can't take it on any interstates and maybe most highways in the U.S. or any other country. It's not fast enough to keep up, and 0 to 60 time is pretty pathetic, especially with 63 being its max. It might take 10-12 seconds to get it up to 45-50. I haven't really counted it for myself. Another bad thing about this bike is that it only weighs 224 pounds. Some people might find that to be a good thing, but here's why it's bad. Anybody with the help of one other person can pick this bike up, put it in the back of their truck, and steal it. Trust me, it happens a lot. Another bad thing about it weighing that little, one good gust of wind will send you a few lanes over. I've witnessed that myself living in Colorado. It's awful. When you don't expect it to be windy out, you take your bike out and you get hit by a gust of wind and he almost knocks you into oncoming traffic. So be careful with that. A couple good and bad things, because I clearly skipped some. This thing can fit in your house or apartment if you don't want it to get stolen. It's great. You can bob and weave out of traffic pretty easy. It's just a good bike all around for handling and wheelies and anything like that. So, anyways, enough of the pros and cons. We'll have a part 2 for that. Let's get to me riding it.